In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be building a powerful, ray tracing capable gaming PC that can do 4K 60 frames per second and hit 120 frames per second at 1440p in most modern games. I'm going to show you every step along the way. No fluff, no complicated cases, just everything that you can see on this setup. This is the simplest PC build guide you'll ever see. Let's start with the brain. AMD's Ryzen 7 5800X. It might be a few years old, but 8 cores and 16 threads still deliver incredible performance for gaming, streaming, and content creation. It's efficient, affordable, and perfect for a home theater PC that doubles as a secret gaming rig. You can also find it pretty cheap these days. Next, the foundation. The ASRock B550 Phantom Gaming ITX motherboard. This is a small form factor motherboard called ITX or Mini ITX. Mini ITX is the smallest DIY size currently available in the market, which means it's perfect for a living room build. I've used this board for years, taken it across countries, and it still performs like day one. Compact, rugged, and with just what you need. 2 RAM slots, 2 NVMe SSD or solid-state drive slots, and a solid power delivery for a chip like the 5800X. Durable, reliable, and perfect for what we're building. Let's talk system memory. I'm using 64GB of DDR4, 2 sticks of 32 each. More than enough for gaming, video editing, or multitasking. Overkill for gaming? Yes. Perfect for doing literally anything else while you game? Also yes. Storage. Storage is handled by the Samsung 980 Pro 2TB NVMe solid-state drive. This is PCIe 4.0, which translates to extremely fast. It comes with a heatsink already attached, which saves us a step. This will hold your operating system and your entire gaming library without breaking a sweat. For most builders, this one drive will cover everything: Windows, Linux, and all of your games. Time for the heart of the system, the EVGA RTX 3080. It's not the latest GPU anymore, but it's still a monster. With 12GB of video RAM or VRAM, this graphics card came out a few years ago and was impossible to find. Now, you can find one used for as low as $350 US. It's still a beast. Gets a solid 60 FPS at 4K and is also ray tracing capable. It also easily hits 120 frames per second at 1440p in most modern games. And that beefy air cooler, perfect for our testbed setup. Thermals will stay great and noise at a minimum. Power supply is the soul of the machine and is the only brand new part here. Packing 1000 watts in the palm of my hand, the Corsair SF1000 is as reliable as it is powerful, and definitely overkill for our build. Now the body. Everything's going on to a 3D printed open-air test bench. It's made from PLA, which sounds risky, but since it's open and well ventilated, temperature should not be an issue. This design makes every component visible and easy to swap, perfect for the OS comparison test coming up in the next episode. Let's start the build. First step, mount the power supply. I'm using M3 screws to attach the Corsair SF1000 to the test bench. Nice and secure. This is what you won't find on many other how-to videos. We're going to be managing the cables as we go. If you get this right, everything else is easy. 3 types of cables, that's it. The motherboard cable, this big, fat 24-pin connector. The big end goes into the motherboard while the 2 inputs go into the power supply. The CPU cable powers your processor. Most systems only need 1 cable unless you're running some crazy workstation setup. You're not. PCIe cables. These power your graphics card. You'll need 3 of them for the RTX 3080. Step 1. Install the CPU. Before we touch the motherboard, 2 things. Either use an anti-static bag or mat, or use the box of the motherboard itself. Do not touch the pins or the gold contacts. Keep your fingers to the edges only. This is an AM4 socket. See the holes? The CPU pins go into these holes, which means if you bend a pin, you have to buy a new processor. So let's do this carefully. See this lever? Lift it up. And you see this golden triangle on the corner right here? Yeah, you have to line up with the triangle right here on the socket. Don't force it, just slowly drop it in place. You'll know once the pins have settled into the holes. Now close the lever and make sure you hear that click. Step 1, done. Just one rule. Don't touch the pins. Keep your fingers to the edges. If you bend a pin, you need a new CPU. Storage and mounting. This is the Samsung 980 Pro. See the protective cover? That's the heatsink already attached. One less thing to worry about. So I'm going to remove the heatsink that came on with the motherboard. See how the pins are notched? They only go in one way. So line it up with the slot and slide it in at a 30-degree angle and push it down flat. My heatsink is heavy enough that it's holding the SSD down on its own. This heatsink is heavy enough to slam the SSD down, but we still need to screw it in place. Your motherboard will come with a tiny screw for this. Don't lose it. The one-click rule. Check the notch orientation before you force anything. Before we go ahead, let's mount the motherboard onto the case. We're doing this now before we install the RAM and the CPU cooler because once those are in place, you can see where all the screw holes are going. I'm using M3x8 screws for this installation. And with the power of editing, all screws are in and the motherboard is secure. So let's start with the system memory. We've got 62 gigabytes across 2 sticks. You see this notch in the middle? It only fits one way. Remember that. Line it up with the slot and push straight down until you hear a solid click. Push down with both hands at the same time so you hear a satisfying click. Now do this with the other RAM stick. Before we go ahead, let's route some cables. Let's first mount the power button. I'm going to push the power button through here under this hole, and we're also going to pass the 2 ends of the motherboard cable under the power supply into these 2 slots. Ensure that they are secured properly and they're fully inside. You see these slots on the power supply? This is where your graphics card and your CPU will be connected. So you want to route the CPU cable from under the case right here into the slot and secure it correctly. This 8-pin cable goes right here on top of the motherboard. Yours might be in a different spot. You have to check your manual, of course. But on this board, it's right here. Click, locked in, and there it goes. And let's install the power button now so we don't forget it later. 2 pins for power, 2 pins for the LED. Goes right here on the bottom corner on the side. Power button installed, wires managed, moving on. Remember that big fat motherboard cable? We plug it in right here. This is the 24-pin ATX power connector. It goes right here on the top right side of the board. Again, your board may have a different orientation, but consult your manual. Make sure it's aligned properly on both sides. I'm going to use both my hands to secure this connector in place. This connector is keyed, so it only goes in one way. Alright, the cables are all settled in. Everything looks clean. Let's move on to the thermal paste and the CPU cooler. Before we install the cooler, we need to prep the surfaces. I'm using 99% isopropyl alcohol and a clean shop towel to wipe down the CPU. And the cooler base. This cooler's been through a lot. As you can see, some of the nickel plating is scratched from years of use, but it still works perfectly. Both surfaces are clean now. Make sure there's no dust or oil from your fingers. This is especially important for thermal transfer. Before you put this down, let's do a dry fit test. See if the motherboard screw holes line up with the mounting points on your motherboard. Perfect alignment. I'm using Arctic MX4 thermal paste. This is a pretty standard thermal paste, non-conductive, easy to apply, and great for performance. I'm going to do this generous amount in across and along with it. Some people might say this is too much, but it's fine. It's non-conductive. So if a little squishes out, we'll just wipe it later. There, perfect. Now let's install it for real. Set it down gently on the thermal paste. Don't wiggle it. Just lay down and tighten both of the screws. Tighten the screws slowly. Okay, the cooler is installed. Now let's put the fan on. This is a cheap fan I got off AliExpress. Not fancy, but it is quiet and it works. It's perfect for my open air build, and that's all I need right now. Now the fan cable. This 3-pin connector goes into the CPU fan header right here on the motherboard. Make sure you're plugged in or your CPU might overheat without you noticing. And if you care about RGB, you can plug all of your RGB of your entire system into this ARGB header. I'm doing it just so I can tell at a glance that the system is turned on. 4 screws, 1 in each corner, nice and secure. Now let's get to the fun part, the graphics card. First, let's route these 3 PCIe power cables. they're going to connect to this GPU, so I'm running them through the front of the test bench for easy access. All 3 cables are plugged into the PSU. Now let's install the graphics card. The RTX 3080 is massive. This is also what makes this build special. See this cutout metal bracket long slot on the motherboard? That's the PCIe X16 slot that we're aligning with the GPU. Do you see this cutout on the graphics card? You have to line up the bracket with the slot. The gold contacts on the GPU need to slide into the motherboard slot. Push straight down until you hear the retention click at the end of the slot. There it is. GPU is all locked in. Now let's quickly put the power cables in. The RTX 3080 needs 3 8-pin connectors. They're right here on the top right of the card. Now I'm going to quickly manage the cables with some zip ties to keep everything tidy. That's it, the build is done. The one rule, make sure the retention clip clicks on your motherboard. If it doesn't, the GPU isn't fully seated. Alright, everything's built. Now let's find out if it works. Let's do a pre-flight check. Power supply switch on. Monitor plugged into the GPU, not the motherboard. This is important. Keyboard connected. Here we go. Now for the moment of truth. And we have power. Fan spinning, RGB lighting up. And there's the BIOS screen. It works on the first try. Everything works. Why? Because building a PC isn't magic. It's following steps one piece at a time. You just watched me build a powerful 4K capable gaming PC in just 15 minutes. No special skills, no secret knowledge, just 8 parts that snap together. This PC will play any modern game at 4K with ray tracing. It'll crush competitive games at 1440p 120 frames per second, and it fits right next to your TV. But we're not done. Windows 10 is dead. Now what? Windows 10 versus Bazzite versus Ubuntu. Same hardware, 3 different operating systems. I'm pitting them against each other on this same gaming PC to see which one performs the best. We're going to look at gaming performance, thermals, and which operating system is best for your use case. No opinions, just data. If you're building along with me, let me know in the comments and tell me which OS you think will win. I'm genuinely curious to see what you think. And if you got questions, ask them along in the comments. I will answer every one. The next episode drops soon, so subscribe if you don't want to miss it.